Shalom, YouTube. Hey, y'all. Welcome to ReligionWinked TV, where my spiritual ears say, guys, it's Mental Health Mondays on this channel. We are going to talk about anxiety, and in the process, while I go ahead and pull up my chat, I want you guys to listen to this music if it'll come up. It's called Relaxer. You can find it in the free audio library here on YouTube. I use it for my channel's intro, outro, whatever. Enjoy this music. Go ahead and relax. I know it's been a long day. Definitely a long weekend. There's been some crazy lives that went on or whatever. But I know everybody needs a mental health day. So if you're just looking to rest, regroup, have adult conversations about the stresses of life, I believe this chat today will be good for you all, especially myself. I've been going through some things. And when it comes to anxiety, I was telling you in the last video prior to this, you all can find that in the playlist called Mental Health Mondays. I think this is the third Monday. Yay, 3 Mondays in a row. I think we started March 4th, March 11th, and now March 18th. So we've been kind of consistent on this channel, trying to help people understand what's really going on in our community, especially if you want to call it this sector of YouTube, in the Black community, YouTube period, and in the world when it comes to certain disorders. So go ahead and enjoy this music, and I shall return. All right, there you go. Thank you to the one person watching. Can you please give me a thumbs up? Thank you to the 2 people watching. I will say hi once the chat come up. I appreciate you all showing up. If you or anyone you know may be suffering with a mental health condition, please have them call the 1-800 number 950-NAMI. That's 1-800-950-NAMI. That represents the National Alliance on Mental Health. They have an email, info@nami.org. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you find help or find yourself in a crisis and need help immediately, you can text NAMI, N-A-M-I, to 741-741. Some of the conditions we went over prior to the very first video we did, the overview is called. We talked about ADHD. We talked about bipolar. We talked about borderline personality disorder. We talked about what depression is, dissociative disorder, early psychosis and psychosis, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, socio-affective disorders, schizophrenia, and today we're going to talk about the one I told you I suffered with for just a little while, and sometimes I do now when I come live. I get a little anxious, anxiety sets in, because I don't know who's going to be on the other side of the screen sometimes, but thank God for his word. Jeremiah 1:8. Be not afraid of their faces, because I shall deliver you from them all. So sometimes I have to sit here and meditate, take 10 deep breaths. Anxiety is not bad. Everyone experiences anxiety sometimes. But when it becomes overwhelming and repeatedly impacts a person's life, it may be an anxiety disorder. So we talked about a lot of different mental health conditions that affects a person's thinking, feeling, or mood. Such conditions may affect someone's ability to relate to others and function each day. You know, people basically, a person will have different experiences even though you may have the same diagnosis, right? And we talked about recovery and wellness. It's including roles in social life, so school, work, especially your treatment starts early on if you can catch it, right? But a lot of people don't catch certain mental health conditions or don't want to admit to it, or ashamed they allowed themselves to get into that position. Or we all go through griefs and certain things that break our heart and hurt us and affect us. But basically, you have to play a strong role in your own recovery process. This is about you being strong in your mind and in your will and in your determination to, challenge yourself to get back in a state of what's called homeostasis. See, before the body becomes broken, it's a place of homeostasis, like natural balance, natural state of mind, natural way God created us to be. Then comes the sickness, then comes the hurt, then comes the pain. Certain things, a mental health. Thank you to the two people watching. I am trying to pull up the chat, but I'll keep talking in the process. All right, I see it's up. Let me go ahead. I may have a call-in number. People are, we could talk about sex. You could talk about gays, lesbians, how to take it in the ass, how you squirt, how you this, how you that. You see everybody breaking down on these damn YouTube streets, and you don't want to show up to talk about what matters. That right there is a little alarming to me. And I marvel at that because people, you have been trained and conditioned to go along, to get along, just to belong. But nobody has the guts and the courage to stand up and talk about mental health. Me and the one person, God says if we agree in touching anything, He'll be in the midst of us. If I have to say there's a frustration I have, whether it's my chat or anybody else's chat, where there's light shining, where there's groundbreaking content, where there's things that can set you free, those channels and platforms get overlooked for the shit that does not matter. The beefs ain't gonna get you to the next level in life. What you doing on YouTube don't even have the attention of Trump or the government, where you need to be getting the attention of them, because that's where the greater problem is. If you want to beef with anybody, that's where your beef should be at. But anyway, and a lot of the people, mental health has got them in a position where these beefs are causing you to crumble right in public, on camera. The meltdowns, the blurting out, the rage, the just getting out here saying anything like you have no self-control over your spirit. Remember where I come from, out of the abundance of the heart flows the issues of life. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? You hear what people are saying. You see how they are acting. Gail Taliver, how are you? Welcome. I did receive your email. I responded back to you, and I will reach out to you so we can have that conversation about why I believe the way I believe and why it works for me and who I believe in, and I appreciate that. My channel is growing when people start to strike concern and care and start to be inquisitive about who is she, what she got going on over there. God are opening up the ears to those that matter, right? So mental health the condition isn't the result of one event. Research suggests multiple linking causes. It could be genetics, environment, it could be lifestyle influence, whether someone develops a mental health condition or not. Also, you're welcome. Also, a stressful job Home life makes some people more successful, as do traumatic life events like being a victim of a crime, a divorce, a simple breakup, the loss of a job, a mother not being able to care for her children, a father not being able to care for the family. There's a lot of situations. And also, we know there's chemical imbalances in the brain that will cause people to, vibrate low and have, some kind of mental health issues going on. It goes on to say biochemical processes in circuits and basic brain structures may play a role as well. We talked about recovery and wellness. Again, there's thank you to the 2 people watching and the 3 thumbs up. I appreciate it. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Please share this channel. Share this video. Like, comment, invite people over. So, I told you guys about back in August of 2016, they tried to say I had the gene for lupus. Oh, the rheumatologist said I had a rheumatoid arthritis was setting in. But I didn't believe those reports. I didn't stick with me. I never left out of there saying I had any of that. But my blood work came back that I had G6PD deficiency. It's glucose phosphase deficiency, something enzyme. It's when stress, oxidation, fava beans, blueberries, mothballs, red wine, certain medications that I've been dealing with all my life pretty much, right? They destroy my red blood cells. It caused hemolytic anemia. Now, I didn't find this out until about 3 years ago, come August. I found out about 2016. So I've been getting blood work all my life. But if you don't go to certain doctors or specialists, they just do like a surface level blood work. But when I went to the rheumatologist, he ran all the blood work you can run, and it came up that I had a genetic disorder from birth. So I just want to tell you all, if you feel a little tired, like, it's called hemolytic anemia. If you feel lethargic sometimes, a little dehydrated other times, please go get your blood work checked out. I mean, you may be tired for a reason. It's because the stress, the medications you're on, blueberries, fava beans, whatever the hell they are, mothballs. And I put mothballs, in and around my house because there'd be like field mice and stuff. Sometimes skunks be outside on the side of the garbage, so I put mothballs. And I was inhaling and breathing all this stuff, drinking red wine. I love blueberries, never ate fava beans, right? But what I'm saying is, I was getting stressed out at that point in time because they was trying to put all this sickness on me. And I'm, one, not to take medication. 2, I'm a child of God, and I believe I'm healed by his stripes. And 3, I was only 49 at the time. Like, I don't got no rheumatoid arthritis. I don't got no lupus. What's wrong with you? I pretty much, I told you I got a little belly or whatever, but I'm 184 pounds. I pretty much take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm not believing that report, but I was getting stressed. I was out of work for like 2 weeks, guys, right? We're going to get into what anxiety is, and I'm going to read it. But these lives are generally like an hour long, so I'm going to share my quick testimony with you all, and then I'll let you know what the scholars of the world say about it. I'll give you my take on mental health spiritually, as I always do. And you can tell any doctor or anybody, I'm willing to talk to them and show them a spiritual side of healing that worked for me. If people want to get off the medication, not get on the medication, be on the medication and still be stable. Don't use the medication as a way of gains or means financially. Don't abuse the medication. There's a lot of things that go with this whole mental health arena that we live in. So I was out of work for 2 weeks, right, trying to get it together. Like, I know they didn't just put the sickness. I was going through the whole, how do I get 49 years old and nobody never, all the blood work I had, nobody never picked up on this little deficiency I have. And looking on hindsight, there was times I was tired and overly tired, but you think it's just a long day at work. Oh, I'm just working hard. Oh, I just did too much today. But looking back, I probably was indulging too much in red wine and eating too many blueberries and had too much mothballs in my house or whatever. So, I had to, switch up some things, and I was dealing with that. And after 2 weeks of being out on a doctor's note, I found myself trying to go to work, right? And as I would drive to work, which was less than maybe even a mile, let me tell y'all something, I had to pull over like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And it just was like an anxious feeling over me. I said, wait a minute, y'all. Hold on. Something ain't right. I will call my doctor and call in at the same time. Like, I can't go to work feeling like this. I need to go to the doctor to get a doctor's note to explain why I can't go to work. So I did that for a period of 2 weeks. And then finally, my doctor was like, let me take you out of work for 3 months. So I was out of work because whatever caused me to get sick initially was still going on. I was feeling my body going through some changes. The rheumatologist was like, oh, you have the inflammation, the lupus, but there's no symptoms around. Nobody can find anything. All the blood work was coming back negative, negative, negative. And I'm sitting here like scratching my brain, damn near trying to lose my mind to figure out what's going on. And being a child of God, I stand on the word of God, but again, you still have to deal with some doctors. So the anxiety got a little bad. They was like, won't you go see a psychiatrist? I was like, okay, I was game for it. I was like, people in our community are afraid to go. And the fear that you have is you're going to run into some people at them doctors when you go. Now, I'm from a little town called Hudson, New York. Y'all can go ahead and dox that, look it up, whatever. My name is out there. People know who I am. I'm not ashamed of who I am. There's nothing I have to hide, yo. If my name was out there before I got on YouTube, let it get out there even more. Everybody need to come up, but yet my name is out there writing books. My name is out there encouraging people with mental health. My name is out there standing on the words of God for black people, for people in general. So, um, you always afraid you're gonna run into somebody, right? That you know. Sure enough, out there, Moolah, I ran into you. And I'm like, oh man, but that be your greatest fear. So going to the psychiatrist to talk to them, the anxiety was getting a little worse. Like, oh man, I'm going to run into somebody. And again, like if you push through it, it subsides. But as soon as I got there, she was coming out. Now, she had just lost her mom 3 months earlier and could not cope with that and needed to see a psychiatrist. The doctor was telling me I had lupus and rheumatoid arthritis at the same time and some genetic disease, excuse me, that I had from childbirth. And I'm finding out at 49, all of this was kind of playing on me. I'm like, man, listen, take me out if you want to, but the devil is a liar. So I got into my faith a little bit. I started meditating on certain Bible verses and, you know, asking God. And it wasn't a bad visit running into her. It just goes to show me that everybody has different reasons why anxiety sets upon them. And anxiety is not bad. It's when it happens over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Say it's just stress on the job. That happens 2, 3, 4 times a week, 2, 3 times a month. Then you got the kids. Then you got the husband. God forbid if there's any cheating or bad relationships or you know, and then you got it coming from everywhere. And if it keeps happening, so I was kind of monitoring myself, seeing how this was happening, if I was going to work, if I was going to the doctors. I was started to paying attention. But then, like I said, when I got to that psychiatrist, and even so, you know, I tried to apply for them because it was like every time I went to go to work, it seemed like my leg would start shaking. My hands is on the steering wheel, but I have to pull over 2 or 3 blocks, pull over 2 or 3 blocks. I said, man, this is not normal. Something is not right, y'all. And I had to go find out what it was. God knew what it was. I knew what it was a little bit. But when, like I said, when you're going through certain things that you think you would never go through, sometimes you don't want to address it. And what our community does is push it to the side. I seen a therapist every Saturday morning. Yes, stress will kill you. I learned that the hard way. It will, absolutely, Gail. So I had to come to grips with that. I went and got everything looked at. I spoke to the psychiatrist. I had to go see SSI doctor. They denied me. When they denied me, I said, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to be one of the people who play on mental health because I can't get to work. I said, I got to fight through this. I mean, I was at a work over a year under that condition. And it wasn't so much the anxiety because that kind of started to subside when I didn't have to go to work. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe the call center I was working at then was just maybe overwhelmed and stressing on a computer all day long. But I didn't realize it then. The phone call after phone call. I was working with New York State Exchange and helping people renew for insurance and sign up for insurance and getting insurance quotes. And it was a big, you know, call center. And maybe that was a little stressful to me, and I didn't know it at the time. And July 19th, 2016, I felt something come over me. I'm like, ooh, what is this? I don't feel right. I went and sat down in my car. I called my supervisor. I said, look, I gotta go home. Something happened. I don't feel good. If I don't feel good tomorrow when I get up, I'm gonna go to the emergency room and see what's going on. And that's what happened. And from there, like I said, they had me out of work 2 weeks. I tried to go back for a couple days. That wasn't working. And so by me being home throughout that year, I think August of 2016, I was pulled out of work, right? And I was, you know, dealing with the anxiety or whatever. So me not having to go to work, ironically, I was able to deal with the anxiety because I can drive anywhere else, but driving to work seemed to be my biggest problem. So, being that I didn't have to drive to work, I was dealing with the anxiety. They tried to subscribe to me, prescribe Lexapro and Ceteraline. I pronounce it wrong sometimes. And I refuse to take the medication. I know some people hang on to it, don't use it, but it was like I brought it home. I tried it a couple times, and it seemed like it made me more anxious. And like I said, being that I didn't have to go to work, I started overcoming the anxiety, but I was still dealing with my bones was a little tender, my muscles was a little weak. That's why the rheumatologist was like, "Oh, you got lupus, you got rheumatoid arthritis." So, again, I just sat there and I allowed my faith to kick in. I don't know, people are different, but I try not to use things for crutches. Only but the word of God. Sometimes I fall short and I run to other people and ask other people for advice and things like that. I believe we all do. Hey, I'm just saying, how are you? But I really got into meditation and praying, and I started researching the genetic disease. It's not a disease, it's a genetic enzyme deficiency. I started researching that. I started staying away from the red wine and the blueberries and the mothballs, and things started getting a little better that way. But the anxiety, when I didn't have to go to that particular job anymore, it seemed like it subsided. So, and I'm telling you, every time I turn on this camera to come live, I get a little anxious, like, man, listen. I'm like, is people gonna receive me? God, who's on the other side of the camera? And you just have a little anxiety about coming on. That's why I'm staying behind the camera right now. I'm just getting used to working different softwares and programs and pulling up different, articles or any presentation I put together, reading it off of one computer, reading a live chat from another tablet, streaming on one phone. And once I get that down, I'll come back on camera. Remember, for me, it's never about the numbers, it's about the connection spiritually. So we're going to go ahead and discuss anxiety disorder. And remember, everybody experiences it at some point in time. But when it becomes overwhelming and repeatedly, and you don't have a handle on it, that's when it gets out of line. And that's when we want to, oh, I can't let my husband know, the kids can't know. I thought blueberries were good for you. Not when you have a enzyme. Look up G, letter G, 6, number 6, PD. Not when you have that deficiency. It's rare in women. Black men only get it. Northern descendants of the northern part of Africa, indicative of the early Jews that was over there. This disease, this enzyme, white European Caucasian people do not get. So I was kind of glad to have gotten sick when I did and went and got that blood work, because I tell people blood work don't lie. I have an enzyme, a deficiency in my red blood cells. They destroy themselves. But only the northern Jews from Africa gets this. They want to call it the Sephardic Jews. They want to call it the Mizrahi Jews. And it's one other Jew. But remember, when the Jews left Israel, they dispersed and became Jews over in Spain, over in the north part of Africa. They just went everywhere. Some became Moors. You know what I'm saying? So we on to something here, people. We on to something here. I don't know why God chose me, but if I would have never got sick July 19th, 2016, I don't think I would have had the extensive blood work to prove to me that it's connected to the northern part of Africa and those Jews over there. Now that's a good thing. But the disease, the deficiency itself, if I take in too much blueberries, too much mothballs, the scent, the smell, breathing the fumes, oxidation. If you don't keep your body at a certain stress level, it oxidizes itself. Too much of that destroys my red blood cells. Fava beans, whatever those are, never heard of those. Those will, too much consumption of that. Now, if I'm prescribed medicine or have to take medicine, I have to make sure it's not the quinines and have that INE at the end of it. Certain medications don't go well with me, and my blood work, my red blood cells, it would destroy them, cause them to break down, and they don't reproduce as fast as normal red blood cells will. So look that up. Black people, go get tested. I'm not ashamed of the things God has brought me for, because I don't say I'm anything but a child of God, but I'm leading up. I'm not only teaching the word of God to lead us back to the northern part of Africa. I'm not only living my life as a Hebrew Israelite and doing the best I can to the best of my faith's ability. Now my blood work. And it says it's rare in women, and only like 200,000 people, have it throughout the world. But I would suggest people, if you're very lethargic, if you suffer from anemia, it's called hemolytic anemia, because when your blood cells destroy themselves, that's hemolytic. That's the blood. Your blood has anemia. on top of anemia. So anyway, we're gonna get into anxiety disorder. We all experience anxiety. Thank you to the 4 people. Brenda, hey. Hey, Miss Brenda, how are you? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, for example, speaking in front of a group can make us anxious. I tell y'all, I get a little nervous sometimes when I still come before the masses, and it's okay. I understand it's anxiety, but again, it's not so overwhelming where I cannot turn the camera on. By the time I let that music play and say, Shalom, y'all, it's Religion Link TV, I kind of take a deep breath, and I kind of take a deep breath, and I'm ready to go. A little something, something. Hold on, let me plug my phone in, y'all. It say it's trying to die out. We can't have that happen. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. All right. All right. Thank you to the 4 thumbs up and the 4 people watching. So, turning in a report, having to get up in front of the class to speak. I mean, like the president inauguration, things like that will bring anxiety to people. Sometimes turning on your camera, you don't know who beefing, what's beefing, why they beefing. Like, you just get anxiety. Like, no, you don't want to hear it today. Let it be something positive. Anxiety affects us all differently. But that anxiety also motivates us to prepare and practice. I told you, I sit here, I meditate, I say my little opening spiel, I read through my little stuff. I try to get the chat up before I come on, but that doesn't always work for me. And I go ahead. Hold on 1 second. Now my phone is acting up. Okay, I'm back, y'all. I go ahead and hit live, put the title in and hit live. So it's a process for me. Don't think I get on here and got it all together, y'all. I'm not that kind of chick. I'm relatable to so many people in this world if they want to relate with me. I have anxiety to an extent, but my anxiety does not cripple me. It may make me be late turning on the camera sometimes. It may make me have to rehearse certain things and pray and meditate and ask God, to just be with me. Those are the things I do, people. And it helps me come on here, all right? But it helps keep us. Driving in heavy traffic is another common source of anxiety. A lot of people probably suffer with that, right? But it helps us keep alert, and it's cautious and cautious us to avoid accidents, right? It makes us pay attention. That anxiety keeps us on our toes sometimes. However, when feelings of intense fear and distress become overwhelming and prevent us from doing everyday activities, an anxiety disorder may be the cause. Like I said, maybe it was just that one particular job, because that's the only time it ever happened to me. I go to work, like 2, 3 traffic lights. I have to pull over. Like, what the heck is wrong with me? Get that little nervousness, palms sweaty. Like, it was just going to that job. When the doctor pulled me out of work and I no longer had to go to that job, the anxiety was able to subside and got a whole lot better and under control. I could drive anywhere else in the world, but when I was going to that particular job, it was something about that job that was stressing me out. I didn't realize it then or wasn't aware of it. And it probably was causing me to be anxious. But as soon as I did not have to report to that job, so there's some truth to this, people. You have to pay attention to it. And if it keeps you from going to work, if it keeps you from getting up tending to your kids, if it keeps you from being a good husband or a good wife, because this isn't gender specific. Men and women deal with this mental health issues across the border, across everywhere, mainstream. Every race, every ethnicity, every culture deals with this. People deal with it differently. People deal with it through meditation. Some people use natural herbs. Other people, mainly in America, have been conditioned to use medication. But I believe there's a lot of people on YouTube who abuse it. Thank you to the 6 people listening. Please give me a thumbs up. You probably anxious sitting here listening to me right now. I'm anxious because I don't know who the other 2 people are. We have that anxiety, but it's not going to cripple us. It's not going to cripple you to give me a thumbs up because you like this content coming off of this channel. And it's not going to cripple me because I know there's other people I see in the chat that's relying on me to deliver this content. So we have to have balance and work through our anxiety. Miss Brenda, I see it pop up. Hold on, let me get to the all right, I don't know how to bring it. Hold on, bring these comments back up on the phone yet. Hey, Bless Watkins, how are you? Good afternoon, welcome. Trying to do something when you know haters trying to sabotage, cause anxiety. Absolutely. Or like when you know you onto something and then like I don't know, anybody around when that lady Princess Fiona came in the chat, that caused me a little anxiety. I didn't know where it was coming from, but again, I kind of learned to use the anxiety to kind of push forward. It gets me on my toes now. It doesn't cripple me or cause that much fear because, again, I'm a believer and I stand on God did not give me a spirit of fear, but power, love, and sound mind. When you meditate on that, it become a way of life. It's something that just naturally flows out you. Merry heart does good like medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones. I try to tell my friends around here, listen, we're gonna go through hurt and pain, but a merry heart. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. I'm sorry, my phone just. It's probably somebody dealing with mental health who does not like this channel because of God, and they're sitting over there striking this page for no reason. Anyway, thank you to the 5 people who gave me a thumbs up. Thank you to the 1 person watching. Let me say this again. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health concerns in the United States. An estimated 40 million adults in the United States, approximately 8% of children and teenagers experience an anxiety disorder. That's a whole nother topic there. There's a lot of kids that suffer with anxiety. But most of all, 40 million adults. And until we begin to deal with it, we push it off on our kids. We push it off on our co-workers. It's just, it's like one big spider web. We have to get a grip on it. We have to be mature enough to recognize that there's a problem. I always tell my daughter, family, and children, the first sign of healing is to admit that there is a problem. Now, some of the symptoms, y'all. Anxiety disorders are a group of related conditions, each having unique symptoms here. However, all anxiety disorders have one thing in common: persistent, excessive fear or worry in situations that are not threatening. Me going to work back in July, August of 2016, what was threatening about getting in my car, driving to this big old complex where I sat on the computer all day with hundreds of other people in little cubicles on the computer, coming from a nursing now, and I'm still a nurse, but sometimes I go in call centers and do other jobs in between and along with, right? So, and just having this kind of anxiety. What was threatening about that? There was nothing threatening about that, like it's saying here. It was just a morning drive, going to work every morning like I did. Every morning, but it was nothing threatening about it. But there was persistent, excessive fear and worry about. I was just worrying about driving to work, getting to work. Like I said, I don't know what was going on then, but every time I got ready to pull back over in the traffic, I'll drive 2 or 3 more lights and I'll pull right back over. But there was nothing threatening about that. People typically experience one or more of the following symptoms. Emotional symptoms are feelings of apprehension or dread. I really don't want to go to work today. I really don't want to do this today. Feeling tense or jumpy. Restlessness or irritability. Anticipating the worst and being watchful for signs of danger. Physical symptoms now. Excuse me. Physical symptoms. Pounding or racing heart and shortness of breath. I experienced that a little bit. When I would go back in the traffic, it was like my hand, I felt myself getting, I guess that was emotional because I was feeling a little tense. I felt, the clenchiness, sweating, tremors, twitches. The hands wasn't really sweaty, but you could feel they were warm. Headaches, fatigue, and insomnia. Thank God none of those. The fatigue was there. Upset stomach, frequent urination, and or diarrhea. Believe it or not, the diarrhea was there a little bit, a couple of days trying to go back and forth to work. So different types of anxieties. Thank you to the one person listening. I appreciate you. God shall reward you, my good and faithful servant. I do appreciate you. General anxiety disorder is called GAD. It produces chronic, exaggerated worry about everyday life. This worrying can consume hours each day, make it hard to concentrate or finish daily tasks. A person with generalized anxiety disorder may become exhausted by worry and experience headaches, tension, or nausea. So we have social anxiety disorder. More than shyness, this disorder causes intense fear about social interaction, often driven by irrational worries about humiliation. This may be what I'm dealing with, y'all, just a little bit. Saying something stupid or not knowing what to say. Someone with social anxiety disorder may not take part in conversations, contribute to class discussions, or offer their ideas, and may become isolated. I don't think I'm isolated. Panic attacks are a common reaction to anticipated forced social interaction. Let me tell you something here. That would be me. All right, Gail, let me tell you something. Quick sidebar here. I have my younger sister. She caught her boyfriend in the pool with another woman butt naked, right? And this brought about a real hurt, a real broken heart, anxiety. I let her move in with me, right? And we were living together for a little while, caring for my little sister. And I would go to work or I would be there and she would walk around the house and try to put her hands in her pockets, but she had no pockets on her clothes, and the toilet would overflow and she wouldn't tell me just things like that, right? So that went on for like 6 months. She would call an ambulance like 3 or 4 or 5 times a day to take her to the hospital. It was really sad. She's good now. Oh, don't get me wrong. She's good, thank God now. But back then, that was back in like 1992, 3, 4, 5, somewhere along in there. It was sad to see my little sister go through that. The panic attacks was real in her life. You too, gal. Yeah, I witnessed that firsthand with a family member personally. Which brings us right into panic attacks. This disorder is characterized by panic attacks and sudden feelings of terror, sometimes striking repeatedly and without warning. Often mistaken for a heart attack, a panic attack causes powerful physical symptoms, including chest pains, heart palpitations, dizziness, shortness of breath, and stomach upset. Many people will go to desperate measures to avoid an attack, including social isolation. And this is something I seen with my baby sister. She didn't want to go out unless it was the ambulance coming to get her to go to the hospital. And like I said, that was back in the early 90s. She is well beyond the hurt and pain of her boyfriend cheating on her, and also beyond the panic disorder by the grace of God. I believe she used medicine to help her cope, but then I don't know if her faith is as strong as mine. I know she believe in God, but I thank God she's recovered. So, I've experienced some of these things, y'all. But like, my family is no different from anybody else. We know there's a problem, we seek help, we get help for it. We don't abuse it, you know what I'm saying? And we make the best of it. But there's healing out here for us all. Phobias. We all tend to avoid certain things or situations that make us uncomfortable or even fearful. A lot of this is based around fear. That's why I love the Bible. Everywhere you look, be of good courage. Be not afraid. Be of good courage. Be not afraid. Be of good courage. Be not afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Is all you see. And that started comforting me along the way. Some of these diseases and sicknesses and things that we come against, these mental health conditions, make us fear that we're going to lose it. I thought I wasn't going to be able to bounce back. If I had lost my mind or allowed that panic attack to overtake me, and I would not be sitting here talking to you all today. Sometimes we fear it's just going to overtake us. And a lot of times it does overtake the person. But for someone with a phobia, certain places, events, or objects create powerful reactions of strong, irrational fear. It's all about fear here, y'all. Most people with specific phobias have several different things that can trigger these reactions. To avoid panic, they will work hard to avoid the triggers. Bless Watkins, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Yes, thank you, Bless Watkins. Yeah, so they will avoid the triggers. Now, I was telling you, I get a little afraid sometimes because sometimes I may want a little red wine, and I don't know how much. The doctor never said how much is too much, or sometimes I still like eating blueberries. Doctor never said, but what I have is not like fatal. It's only a couple of cases where people actually, passed away from this. But it's like the triggers. What I'm saying is I have triggers. So now if I don't want my red blood cells to be destroying themselves, I have to pay attention to the triggers. I have to pay attention to the cues that will do that. The same thing with mental health. You have to pay attention to the things that have been causing you to have this great fear. Because again, a lot of what we see, the panic disorders, the phobias, the generalized anxiety disorder, which is GAD, the social anxiety disorder, which is SAD, it's a lot of fear based around it. So we can come up with copinisms and ways to cope with the fear that may help a lot of people dealing with these types of mental health conditions. All right, so other anxiety disorders include, let me make sure I read phobias, yes. Depending on the type and number of triggers, attempts to control fear can take over a person's life. Fear is the crippling factor here. Now, I know medication in the world tells you that, the serotonin level is low in the brain. And that could be true. Coupled with the fear, it makes a person worse, right? But they'll only deal with the serotonin level of it, give you medication to get those levels back up, right? But if you have not dealt with the fear, you still have the anxiety. You still have, the cripple Nandy. Hello, TV, ReligionWinked TV and chat. Hey, welcome. How are you, Harlem? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, another couple of, we have agoraphobia. I didn't look that up. You guys can look it up. AGORA phobia. Selective mutism. I will believe that's when a person wants to turn on their talk or turn it off. They decide when they're going to be mute. Separation anxiety disorder. Lord, I have this when I lose my cell phone. My cell phone could be in my pocketbook, people. I'm like, oh my God, where's my phone? Did I lose my phone? And I immediately like, dang, I gotta get another phone. Where's my phone? I have separation anxiety disorder when it comes to losing a cell phone, people. Can I be honest with you here? Right? Do you feel that sometimes when you misplace something or don't know what it is, or if you have a relationship with something and all of a sudden it's taken from you, you don't want to be without it, and that anxiety come up, you don't know how you're going to live without him, live without her, live without it, live without the job. I know I had a little bit of this January 14th when I got fired. There's no shame in my game. The employee is always not wrong when there's a separation from the company. The worker, you know what I'm saying? You can't always say, "Oh, well, what did you do wrong?" I told my story. I shared my testimony. I had a little bit of separation anxiety. I loved my job and thought she had me there to do what she was asking me to do because she respected me as a good worker. And when I lost my job, of course, what am I doing now? How am I pay my bills? Oh my God, right? Separation anxiety, y'all. Think about it. Substance medication induced anxiety disorder involving intoxication or withdrawal or medication treatment. When we say substance abuse, we always think of illegal drugs. People are abusing pain medication just as much as people are abusing street drugs nowadays. And they have the anxiety disorder when they can't get the prescriptions because you know now the doctors, the pharmacies, everybody is knocking down on the abuse of the prescribed medications. This stuff is real, people. You see it on YouTube. I must go finish working, Gal. I appreciate you. Same here. We'll talk. I'll reach out to you. Absolutely. So yeah, it's like this stuff is real. Some of the causes is genetics and environment. We went through that. I want to get into, like, let me just give you a brief overview of genetics. Studies support the evidence that anxiety disorders run in families, as some families have a higher than average amount of anxiety disorders among relatives. Environment, a stressful or traumatic event such as abuse, death of a loved one, violence, or prolonged illness is often linked to the development of an anxiety disorder. Looking back in hindsight, you all that's listening, on the call center job, working for New York State Exchange, if anybody out there ever worked for New York State Exchange, you know the queues, the calls keep coming in. That was no problem. You know, you do like 45 minutes an application if it's a full application, like 30 minutes if it's a renewal, right? Miss Brenda, no employee is not always wrong. People suffer stress on job. It's heavy strain on the mind and body. Absolutely. You got that right, Miss Brenda. And the thing of it with me was, we had these things called fast alerts now. This was a high paced turnover company. They were always like, you would work throughout the whole state of New York, right? You would have a section upstate New York, downstate New York. We would work with Medicaid, eMedney. We would do a lot of things, right? But when these fast alerts came out, it was telling you you had to make this change. This is the new change to the policy. Them things was coming out and you still had to keep up with the old policy include that in. And I'm like, could that have been it? Because everything else was fine. High paced calls. I'm good on the phone, good with people, good with filling out, paperwork online, the applications or whatever online. But when them fast alerts came out, you had to memorize it, include it, know where to go look it up, if it was a new law, if it was HIPAA. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know nursing is a fast paced turnover industry, but that call center for New York State Exchange, oh my God. And I know you all have the exchange in the states where you live. Ask anybody who live with them. Now, some people good working under that kind of pressure. But like I said, every time I had to go to that job, the anxiety rose up. I was not good under that kind of pressure. Let's just keep it real. Parts of it I was, but other parts I wasn't. So the diagnosis, y'all, and we under an hour, which is good. Physical symptoms of an anxiety disorder can be easily confused with other medical conditions like heart disease or hypothyroidism. Did you guys know that? So I definitely, if you're feeling a little anxious or you're feeling that little anxiety, it could be heart disease or it could be hyperthyroidism. Which I know hyperthyroidism is and hypo, the thyroid problem period, is definitely overlooked in our communities. Women, men, everybody get your thyroids checked. Definitely causes imbalance within the body. So, therefore, a doctor will likely perform an evaluation involving a physical examination, an interview, and lab tests to determine what's what, right? Then it goes on. After ruling out an underlying physical illness, a doctor may refer a person to a mental health professional for evaluation. You have psychiatrists and you have psychologists, right? Excuse me. Using the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM, a mental health professional is able to identify the specific type of the anxiety disorder causing symptoms as well as many other possible disorders that may be involved. You can have multiple of these disorders at one time. So, guys, like again, before we leave, I'll run over all of the ones we're going to go over in the future and the ones we went over in the past. Taking all disorders through comprehensive treatment is the best recovery strategy. And remember, early on, you play a major key role in your recovery. The key word here is recovery. There's hope, and we can all recover. Denial is causing a lot of people not to be on the road to healing, not to be on the road, to recovering from the mental health condition. So some of the treatments are, different anxiety disorders have their own distinct set of symptoms. This means that each type of anxiety disorder also, I do apologize. It keeps saying low battery. I apologize, guys. We're almost done here. Um, so different anxiety disorders have their own distinct set of symptoms. This means that each type of anxiety disorder also has an own treatment plan. Not everyone works for everyone. It's specific to which type of disorder you have, which type of anxiety, you have. And don't even think that bipolar medication and treatment can work for anxiety. That's not going to work either. So when you're being diagnosed or being treated for this, make sure you're being properly diagnosed so that you get the proper treatment. And again, no matter what treatment you choose to get, right, guys, there's nothing wrong with a little prayer and asking God, this too, God, shall this too come to pass? God, remove this thing from my life. Find some Bible verses that work for you. Hit my email up. I'll give them to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm supportive like that. So, but there are common types of treatment that are used Please visit anxiety treatment page, which I'll probably leave the link to these kind of teachings. I'll put the link in the video when we're done, when it uploads. Psychotherapy, including cognitive behavioral therapy. Medications, including anti-anxiety medications and antidepressants. Complementary health approaches, including stress and relaxation techniques. One of those I would throw in there. They should have mandatory scripture reading at every facility that sponsors or caters to mental health. That's just my personal opinion. From my personal testimony, seeing other people who have done the same thing, that just believe and meditate, and took a different approach to their recovery. Because remember, part of recovery is you have to be strategic, and you have to play the major role in your recovery. You have to find out what works for you. Instead of medication, it could be a chocolate ice cream that calms that anxiety down. Chocolate ice cream comes with what? A side effect: your hips might spread. You might have a little lactose intolerant. But look at the side effects the medication brings. So you have to play a strategic role in your recovery. You have to talk to the doctors and say, hey, I've been trying this med, but it's not working. Some meds make you more anxious than, especially if you have anxiety about taking medication like I do. I'm afraid of the side effects. Again, there goes that fear, right? Afraid of taking the medication. I don't, again, I could let that be overwhelming to me. I just purposed it in my heart. If I don't have to take the medication, I'm not. But guys, you have to know what works for you. You have to know what works for you. When it comes to treatment, talk it out with your doctor. Talk it out with other people that have experienced these things. So I'm going to take us back. Just a brief recap. On the first one, this is our third mental health overview. On the first one, we talked about all the diseases. We mentioned ADHD. We mentioned bipolar. We mentioned, which I think a lot of people deal with PTSD in some kind of way. And then a lot of people deal with postpartum depression in some kind of way. But we got to be tough. We got to be strong. We can't have a little crack in us so then everybody will notice it. We got to keep covering up the flaws. And so, schizoaffective disorder, schizophrenia, and of course the one we talked about today, anxiety disorder. Next week, y'all, we get into bipolar. A lot of people on YouTube and live say they deal with bipolar. So I may open up the phone lines for that one. I am going to go off now. If you guys are comfortable with me, I do have a phone number. I would like to keep talking about it. Maybe I'll just come back with Make It Happen Mondays or something. But again, Mental Health Mondays on this channel. Maybe we'll keep the conversations going. We can talk about other disorders, but I'm going to stick with being consistent on this page as much as I can, guys. So next week we go with bipolar disorder. The week after that, borderline personality disorder, depression after that, and so on and so forth. If this has been helpful content to you, I am not a beggar. I don't ask anybody for anything, but God says I have not because I ask not. I'm not monetized yet, but I do have a Cash App. If you are going to give, my advice to you is give to good soil. The book of Mark, chapter 8, I believe, verse 2 talks about the sower who went out to sow. Some on stony grounds, some on it is, go read that whole chapter. My Cash App is there. All I ask you on this channel is basically keep the lights on and keep the cable on. And I can come on here and give you whatever you need. Let me know what it is you want to talk about. Hit my email up. I don't know everything, but I'm willing enough and woman enough to reach out to the Bible or ask other people who may know. And that's the way we each one teach one, and we all grow in this thing together. I don't know everything, but I'm eager to learn. Um, and just willing to share what I know with other people. So I appreciate the 4 people listening. This has been Mental Health Mondays. I am Religion Wink TV, and my spiritual ears stay. Again, the Bible verse that I want to give to you today, you could go to Joshua 1 and 8, meditate on the word of God. You can also go to Jeremiah 1 and 8. Be not afraid of their faces, because God will deliver you from them all. You can also, I don't know where it is, but beloved, I wish above all things you be in good health and prosper, even as your soul prosper. See, it's something about the soul prospering. And I think once we get the soul of people to start to prosper, they'll break a lot of these generational curses of the mental health issues that plagued our community for thousands of years now. I'll take you back to the Bible. Christ dealt with the lunatic spirit. Christ dealt with casting out people, demons that act like they were schizophrenia or had bipolar disorder. So again, your approach, it's in your hands. It's your recovery. And you have to play a major role in it. You have to first admit that there's a problem. Guys, I apologize. I'm connected again. So yeah. So just like, I meditate on the word of God. Uh, a, a beloved above all things, I wish that you prosper and be in health. I was gonna say something, but that buffering distracted me. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? Oh, let me just say this. Half of mental health conditions begin by age 14, and 75% of mental health conditions develop by age 24. The normal personality and behavior changes of adolescence may mimic or mask symptoms of a mental health condition. Early engagement and support are crucial to improving outcomes and increasing the promises of recovery. So the recovery is a real thing. It's obtainable. With that being said, thank you to the 4 people watching. I'm going to end it here. I can't come right back live. Guys, there's been so much going on. I don't want to mention any names in this because, again, you never know what sponsor or what television program is going to come through and watch these videos, or somebody that needs the help and just needs to hear the teaching and not a whole lot of rhetoric and BS and nonsense, about beefs and dramas and things like that. So I try to keep the morning reads, and I try to keep especially the Mental Health Mondays, kind of clean, the teachings, because you never know. You never know what God is going to do with these teachings and who's going to benefit from them. And they don't need to hear a whole lot of nothing but everything that can help them. You know what I'm saying? Everything that can set them on the road to recovery. All right, guys. This has been Religion Wink TV, and my spiritual ears stay. Oh, to the 4th person, you got to catch the replay. I do apologize. Like this video. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. You could be a Wink star if you want to, but the way you do that is to subscribe and support this channel. We are Wink stars on this channel, and we let our light shine bright. I say Psalms 1 and 19 and 105. Let the word of God be a lamp unto your feet and a word unto your a light unto your pathways. Why? So wherever you step is bright, and wherever you go, your shine is light. Guys, it's been real. Mental Health Mondays, y'all. We needed this. I needed this. Oh, before I got distracted, here we go. Revelations 12 and 11. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of our testimony, okay? So I'm not afraid to talk about my testimony, because I know I just overcame the anxiety I was feeling about coming on here, the future anxieties I may have about it. I know I helped somebody dealing with their own anxiety. I'm not the only one that was driving to work and had to pull over on the side of the road, but kept trying to push through it just because I had to pay my bills and take care of my family. Oh no. Thanks, Religion Wink TV. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Bless Watkins, I'm so happy I was also able to catch a live today. Bless, thank you. I appreciate you all. Listen, thank you so much. Let me go back. We got Gail Tarver. We got, I'm just saying, Miss Brenda, Miss Bless Watkins, Miss Gail Tarver. We got Harlem Cotton Candy. God bless you all. I'm glad you caught it. I may come back, just to read your comments, say hi, see what we can do going forward on this channel, guys. The support, I'm really grateful and humbled by it. And I know that God is going to do something special for us on this channel. So y'all just hang in there with me, all right? And with that being said, go ahead and relax for the rest of your afternoon. And we'll meet. We will meet soon, guys. Guys, I hope the one thing you take from this teaching today is that we have more control and responsibility in our recovery than anybody else do. We have to encourage, edify, exhort, and comfort one another out of our circumstances and situations when it comes to mental health. I'm here for you guys, and I need you guys just as much. It's not easy what God calls us to do, regardless of what it is we do. Sometimes anxiety sets in. So if you don't see me for a day or two, hit me up on the video and be like, you okay? Come on, turn the camera on. I'm praying for that anxiety, Religion Winked TV. It's gonna get better, y'all. You can't be afraid to say what it is that's keeping you from living a full life. I probably can have so many more videos done. I could probably be coming on camera so much more if I just get over that little bit of anxiety, right? Now that's a word for somebody. Come on, y'all. We have to encourage one another. I don't tell you these stories for anything. I mean, yeah, a click and a view for somebody to learn from it. I've always told you, the only requirements I really want to meet in life is the requirements of the Most High God. But since I'm on YouTube, I would like to meet the requirements of YouTube as well. Thank you. Shalom, and have a great day, y'all. Peace out. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. I see the one last comment. That's right. We are survivors and overcomers. Harlem Cotton Candy. Harlem Cotton Candy. Yes. Speak that truth, girl. All right. I love